G'day, hi, and welcome. Alright, I'm going to try something a little different here. Hopefully my computer's not buzzing too loud in the background. Can't do much about that. I wanted to do like just a kind of like a movie bike kind of tribute type of thing. And basically this is a bike from a movie called Beyond the Law with Charlie Sheen. And it was a pretty cool movie. I think it was in 1993 the movie came out. And it was your typical kind of biker, anti-biker kind of movie, so to speak. Little spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, actually the movie is really good. It was based upon a true story of this cop that went undercover in some motorcycle group. I can't remember the name of I think the name of the biker group in this one was called the Jackals. Which I do believe there is a real world Jackals motorcycle group. There's, so many motorcycle groups, who knows, right? And I remember seeing this movie, my buddy and I watched it, and we fell in love with this bike because nobody really knows what it is. We know it's an Evo, we know it's a Softail, but in the movie, a little spoiler alert again, they build the bike from scratch. So they start with a simple frame and then whatever, and that's probably my favorite part of the whole movie is when they built the bikes, right? But it's some sort of some people think it's a fat boy that's converted to some sort of a wide glide. It's definitely a soft tail, so it's hard to say what that front end is on there. Could be a wide glide, a fat boy front end stripped down, whatever. But a really cool looking bike, scallop paint job. Uh, Everything on it looks pretty stock Harley. There's nothing on there that really screams. I think that, it has an S&S carb on there, but you know other than that, it's got the buckhorns on there, mini apes buckhorns. It's a pretty clean bike, but I couldn't really find many details on it, like specifics. But it does look like just kind of like it looks like an everyday man's bike, like it's got the upswept fishtails on it. It looks like a swap meet special, but just really nicely done. So who knows if it was a bike from another movie, if it was just a bike that they bought one off the showroom floor and then, painted it. Like it looks like a wide glide front end on there, but other than that, there's really not much spectacular in terms of, modifications on this bike. And I think that's what makes it such a nice bike, and it's too bad we can't get a more detailed view of this bike, because it does look like a bike that if you were going to do a tribute motorcycle bike, like the Easy Rider bike, that 54 Pan, I think is what the Easy Rider bike is. I'm sure some people will correct me if I'm wrong. Or the Billy bike, the Easy Rider bikes. Those bikes would cost you tens of thousands of dollars to replicate, right? Tens of thousands. Where this, you could probably find yourself a Softail wide glide. It does look like the front end's a little bit shorter and stockier on it. So, like again, it could have been a fat boy front end without all the dressing on it. And you could probably build this bike for a few grand. You know what I mean? Like it's a very obtainable bike. So yeah, that's about all I got to say about it. So I figure I'd feature a movie bike of some sort and just go with the less common bikes that you see in movies. And again, I think the way they did the styling of this bike, it really did look like somebody that a typical biker would own. It wasn't so grandiose, considering that it was the 90s, and when the Arlen S, what we used to call hamster bikes, now they call them baggers, but the hamster bikes were, Arlen S built some pretty cool machines, there's no doubt about that. And the scallop thing was a very 80s 90s, scallop paint jobs were very 80s 90s. It kind of like the 60s and 70s, almost everything had a flame job on it. You did have scallop bikes and stuff like that, scalloped painting on the bike, the tanks, but the 90s seemed to go more for that beach ball kind of thing, where it was like, like instead of just another flame job, they were trying to break the mold a bit. But again, a very simple bike, looks like an everyday man's bike, but yet it's not overdone. Like it's something that looks like if you were going to be a part of a bike group, this is the kind of bike the guy would ride, because it's a common man, middle class kind of paycheck to paycheck kind of motorcycle, where it runs good, it looks good, the guy takes pride in it, but there's, it's not a, a one-off custom that cost you $100,000. So considering the prices of Harleys back in the 90s, one thing that was interesting about Harleys in the 90s is that basically you could buy one new, ride it for about 2 years, and sell it for about 30 or 40% more than what you paid for it. So because of the waiting list. But then it was in the late 90s, early 2000s when Harley Davidson upped its production to, kind of like what you see now, where anybody can get a Harley. Which the good news about that is these Evos, they've dropped so much in price. You can find yourself an okay Evo, high mileage on it, for probably about $6,000, on average. And then, like a really phenomenal one would be over 20, but, you've got room to play there, And considering I paid $6,500 for my 48 Panhead in a chopper version, which I've covered it on the channel before, like an Evo engine is probably one of the best Harley engines ever made for simplicity and just reliability. But anyway, yeah, so there's the movie bike. Charlie Sheen played the part really well in that movie. Love him, hate him, whatever. I know he's kind of a wild character in real life, but he did play that character very, very well. His sidekick was good. Obviously, you have Michael Mancini in there. He was always a really cool. He used to host, I forget what the biker show was there, but it was like American Iron or something like. It was called something like that, and I used to love watching it. It was always about custom bikes and stuff like that. And yeah, so yeah, a really gritty movie, but yeah, you'll fall in love with the bike. But again, it's one of those bikes that it just never seemed to have gotten the attention I think it deserved. The movie was good, but the bike really makes the movie, right? Same like Easy Rider. People will go watch the Easy Rider movie over and over again because the movie's so astoundingly good acting and whatever. I think they filmed the whole thing in like 2 or 3 days. You know what I mean? It was a pretty low budget movie. People watch it because of the iconic bikes in it, right? And this movie, yeah, it was more, there was more storyline to it than just the bikes, but there was, enough bike porn in there that you really wanted to know more about this motorcycle. So exactly what year is it? It's obviously going to be in, somewhere between 1985 and 1993 is going to be the Evo engine that's in there. It's obviously a soft tail, so that kind of, you got about a 10-year bracket to kind of figure out where the bike was, what it was new. But other than that, pretty much everything on that bike is stock Harley Davidson, with the probably exception of maybe the bars, the carb, and the pipes, and maybe the seat, maybe obviously the tank and fenders or tank and fender are basically, it's a regular, fat bob fender on the back there. Yeah, the dash I think is the same. So again, you don't get a lot of views of this bike. So I figured this is the most I could find. These cheesy pictures, snapshots from the actual movie was the most I could find. So it was kind of, again, it was one of those movies that it wasn't a big enough budget that like you get all the what do you call it, glamour shots during the movie. For example, like the Harley Davidson Marble Brand bike is well documented. Easy Rider bikes well documented, stuff like that. But this bike I think is a bit of an unsung hero. So whatever it is, whoever styled it, hats off to them for the less is more kind of character of the bike. It's just like a machine that looks like you can go cross country on it, no problem. No fuss, no muss. Like there's nothing grandiose about it. I think that's why I like it that much. So you guys tell me what you think about this bike. Would you like to see more videos on movie bikes? Again, I can only find what I can find on the internet. So if you do have any details of this bike, whatever happened to it, like some of these bikes end up getting repainted and going into other movies and stuff like that. Maybe this bike was a former movie bike. You don't know. Maybe it was somebody already owned it and just donated it to the movie. Or maybe it was completely like I know the Sons of Anarchy. All the bikes in Sons of Anarchy were custom built for the show to the specifications of the guys riding them. That was kind of cool. They must have had a hell of a budget to be able to do that. To be able to say, okay, you know what? Not only are you going to ride a motorcycle in this show, although I haven't really watched the show, but you're going to get to pick how you want it to look. But it has to have, as long as it's within the character of the theme of the you know, but you're going to get to design your bike. So I wonder if Charlie Sheen said, that's what I want to see in the movie. That's what I want to be riding on in the movie. It would be interesting to see. So alright, anyway, so all links down below if you'd like to support the channel. And again, comment, let me know if you want to see more movie bike kind of. I'll probably try a few of them, see if people are interested in that. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others, always do the right thing. Have yourselves a great day.